Albus Dumbledore didn't save the wizarding world. He actually co-authored the fascist manifesto used to justify global genocide, and then consciously raised an 11-year-old boy like a pig for slaughter. The twinkle-eyed headmaster is a lie. Today, we are exposing Dumbledore's real strategy, which makes Voldemort look like an amateur. Number 1. The architect of wizarding fascism. Let's shatter the biggest myth first. Dumbledore spent his twilight years fighting Voldemort's pureblood supremacy, but what he never admitted was that he designed the ideological blueprint for wizarding fascism. For the greater good, the terrifying slogan used by Grindelwald to justify a global wizarding war and mass slaughter, Albus Dumbledore invented it. In his youth, he didn't just hang out with Grindelwald. They co-authored a manifesto for wizarding dominance over Muggles. Dumbledore was the one who suggested framing their tyranny as the greater good to make it sound noble. He didn't just make a mistake, he drafted the mission statement for wizarding terror. But writing a dark manifesto in your youth is one thing. What Dumbledore did to a literal infant is undeniably worse. Number 2. The pig for slaughter. This is the secret that genuinely horrified Severus Snape, a man who hated everyone. From the moment Dumbledore dropped a scarred baby on a Muggle doorstep, he knew Harry had a piece of Voldemort's soul inside him. And he knew the only way to destroy Voldemort was for Harry to die at Voldemort's hands. Dumbledore didn't groom a student, he raised a weapon. He tested Harry in his first year, isolated him in his fifth, and spoon-fed him just enough breadcrumbs to keep him marching towards his own execution. The sheer sociopathic calculation required to look a child in the eye for 7 years, knowing you are raising him like a pig for slaughter, is terrifying. And Harry wasn't the only person whose trauma Dumbledore exploited for his grand chess match. Number 3. Weaponized grief. If raising Harry to die was cold, what he did to Snape was absolute psychological torture. When 21-year-old Snape came to Dumbledore in agony over Lily Potter's death, wishing he was dead himself, Dumbledore didn't offer comfort. He saw a broken, suicidal man and weaponized his trauma. He bound Snape to his service using Lily's memory as a permanent chain around his neck. Help me protect her son. Dumbledore extracted 17 years of miserable, agonizing loyalty from a man by constantly pressing on his deepest wound, knowing full well he was planning to let that very son die anyway. Dumbledore was a master at keeping dark secrets, a skill he learned from a very young age, thanks to his fundamentally rotten family tree. Number 4. Azkaban's hidden prisoner. Albus positioned himself as the ultimate defender of Muggles, which makes it wildly inconvenient that his father, Percival, died in Azkaban for a brutal, unprovoked attack on 3 Muggle boys. The world thought Percival was a bigot, and Albus let them believe it. Why? To hide the fact that those Muggles had attacked his younger sister, Ariana. Percival took revenge, and Albus spent his life letting his father be remembered as a monster just to protect the Dumbledore PR machine. Number 5. The Sister in the Shadows. Speaking of Ariana, she wasn't just sick, she was an obscurial. Instead of getting her help, the Dumbledores locked her away. Teenage Albus resented her for keeping him from his brilliant future. And the most tragic part? She died during a 3-way duel between Albus, his brother, and Grindelwald. Albus went his entire life never knowing if his own spell killed his little sister. And that specific fear of the truth led directly to the deaths of thousands. Number 6. Decades of cowardice. While Grindelwald terrorized magical Europe, slaughtered innocents, and amassed armies, the great Albus Dumbledore sat in an armchair at Hogwarts grading essays. The world begged him to intervene. He refused for decades. Why? Because he was paralyzed by the fear that Grindelwald knew whose spell had actually killed Ariana. Albus let a tyrant run unchecked across the continent simply to delay his own personal therapy session. The blood spilled during those years of inaction is on his hands. He was a coward in a global war, but shockingly bold when it came to stealing from victims. Number 7. The worst time to borrow a cloak. In 1981, James and Lily Potter were hiding from the most dangerous dark wizard alive. They needed every advantage. So what did Dumbledore do? He casually borrowed James's invisibility cloak. He didn't need it for war. He suspected it was a Deathly Hallow and wanted to study it out of pure academic curiosity. Borrowing a targeted man's bulletproof vest to inspect the fabric while he's being hunted by a sniper is a staggering level of selfishness. And Dumbledore's habit of throwing innocent people under the bus didn't stop with the Potters. Number 8. The Hagrid cover-up. When the Chamber of Secrets opened in 1943 and Tom Riddle blamed Hagrid, Dumbledore knew exactly what Riddle was. He knew Hagrid was innocent. Did he expose Riddle? No. He let an innocent half-giant get expelled, have his wand snapped, and live in a shack just so Dumbledore could quietly keep an eye on Tom Riddle without tipping his hand. Hagrid believed he was a disgraced failure for 50 years because Dumbledore thought it was strategically convenient. Number 9. The Defense Against Education. Let's talk about Gilderoy Lockhart. Dumbledore knew Lockhart was a fraud who wiped people's memories. Instead of reporting him, Dumbledore hired him. Why? Because he thought Harry needed a lesson about vanity. Dumbledore sacrificed an entire year of crucial magical defense education for hundreds of students just to teach one 12-year-old boy a life lesson. The administrative negligence is baffling, but hiring a bad teacher is nothing compared to letting a terrorist roam the halls. Number 10. The Draco Experiment. In Harry's 6th year, Dumbledore knew Draco Malfoy was fixing a vanishing cabinet to smuggle Death Eaters into Hogwarts. A normal headmaster would lock the school down. Dumbledore just watched. He wanted to protect Draco's soul. Because of this experiment, Katie Bell was almost killed, Ron was poisoned, and students were attacked by a werewolf who liked eating children. Dumbledore risked hundreds of lives to see if he could redeem one Death Eater in training. Number 11. The Ultimate Hubris. For all his grand speeches about resisting temptation, Dumbledore was brought down by his own arrogance. When he found the Resurrection Stone on Voldemort's cursed ring, he knew it was a deadly trap, but he didn't care. He wanted to see his dead family. In a moment of blinding selfishness, he forgot his mission and put it on, effectively signing his death warrant. He got emotionally compromised by a shiny rock. Rehook. The irony? He died wanting to see his dead family, while completely ignoring the family member who was still alive. Number 12. The Forgotten Brother. Aberforth Dumbledore spent his life running a dingy pub in Hogsmeade, smelling of goats and bitterness. Albus, the man who preached love, unity, and forgiveness, never reconciled with his own flesh and blood. At Ariana's funeral, Aberforth broke Albus's nose. Albus never fixed it, wearing it as a badge of guilt. He preached the power of love to Harry, but couldn't walk down the road to a pub and make peace with the only family he had left. He loved humanity in the abstract, but was spectacularly terrible at loving the actual people right in front of him. And that is the real tragedy of Albus Dumbledore. We expected a saint, but the reality is much darker. The man who saved the wizarding world was a broken, manipulative, and deeply flawed human being who just happened to be playing for the right team. He wasn't a hero, he was a general. And generals don't care who gets hurt as long as they win the war. But if you think Dumbledore's hidden secrets were twisted, wait until you see the horrors Voldemort committed before he even lost his nose. That's your next lesson, right here on the screen. Click to watch now, before Dumbledore deducts 50 points from Gryffindor for knowing